Okay, reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 165. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. tad-didṛkṣābhibhūto sarvaṁ santyajya tat-kṣaṇe saṅkīrtayañ jagannātham auḍhra-deśa-diśaṁ śritaḥ. Tota, shut that door and maybe open the light. Yeah. Overcome by desire to see Lord Jagannāth, in a moment I abandoned everything and set off in the direction of Orissa, chanting Lord Jagannāth's glories. Purport: Gopa Kumar was so inspired by the glories of Lord Jagannāth and the Lord's kshetra that he gave up all external and internal affinity for the kingdom and everything related to it. He at once began his journey to Jagannath Puri, heading off in the general direction of Orissa. While on the road, he constantly chanted the 4 syllables of Lord Jagannātha name. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from Middletown, New Jersey. I'm sitting in my bhajan seat 75% of my day is in this nice seat with a nice table in front of me to do my work in front of my deities. You can see it, maybe. So, ideal. So important, context. You can't understand anything without context. That's why folio scholarship is not real scholarship, where you take verses out of and put them in categories, etc. No, every verse has to be understood in its context. And in that lecture I went to by this disciple of Radhanath Swami, but a Vaishnav scholar named Kartik Chandra, he gave an analysis of the ninth canto, the first chapter, which was people were having difficulty following, where he just brought, the whole context of the Bhagavatam, and then the chapters, the cantos in the context, and then the chapters in the context, and then, the different sections in context. It gives further and further meaning. Even in our life, something happens to us, if we can't come to the platform of meaning, we don't really know what happened to us. We don't come to and that's why when the bull was being beaten by the Sudra, and the bull said, who did this? He wouldn't identify the perpetrator because he knew a greater context in terms of God and the meaning of life and the law of karma. Our whole education is to give us context in terms of what we see so we can actually understand the world. Everybody's seeing the same colors, the same objects, the same people, the same politicians, but who actually sees them properly is the one who's trained in transcendental knowledge and has that proper context. So similarly with any scripture, and I suppose any good book, any good literature, when you know the context, you can understand everything more deeply. So the overall context is Sanatana Goswami giving the mission of Lord Chaitanya to the world. Then he does it, which is anarpita. I quoted this verse many times. Anarpita charim charat karunaya vatir na kalo samarpyatum unatoj vala rasham. So bhakti swayam. He's giving this unatoj vala, this brilliant rasa, this brilliant level of devotion, swabhakti swayam, of God's own devotion for himself so he can taste that. So the overall context, Sanatana Goswami is giving that, and he does it in a very creative, brilliant way, channeling some universal reality that maybe is not within the context of our history, but what our context of history is a bleep in reality. Can you imagine reality is going on eternally since time immemorial? Do you know how much we miss? Do you know how much we don't understand? So, Narada Muni looking for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, which goes ultimately to the gopis. Then, Uttara wants to know about the plays. And then this other brilliant story is being narrated about Gopakumar, which is a narration to a Brahmin who got a mantra, but without context, without explanation. And his simultaneously movement in the right direction, but not efficiently, because he didn't have the right understanding. And somehow that brings him to Gopakumar, who explains his own story, which parallels the story of this Brahmin. And his own story is, he somehow met this Brahmin, this guru, Mahabhav, who blesses him and gives him a mantra, indicating that this is for the Supreme Lord. And he disappears. So his story is similar to Gopakumar. So therefore he's going to relate that story to Gopakumar to enlighten him. So now we have Gopakumar. he starts searching because he said this is for the Supreme Lord. So who is this Supreme Lord? He has this mantra, and the mantra is giving him some bandha, some connection. He went first to the Brahma with the Shalagram Shila, but he had questions about his worship because it was so minimal, and that was sent to a king, and the worship was so, and you can see now Uttara's inquiry of the place. What is the place? And it's Uttara's inquiry of the place, of where's the place of this bhakti, of this Uttama bhakti, this high class bhakti. What is the place of this? Is kind of outlined in now this new journey, not for finding the person, but finding the place. But it's the same journey, just explained in a different way. And you still get that, because it's a summary of the Bhagavatam, because in the story we all know that it's Uttara inquiring from Marge Prickett explaining to his mother a summary of the Bhagavatam. So it has that kind of same progression of the Bhagavatam in both the people and the places. So he winds up in this kingdom, and somehow the king doesn't have a son and becomes attached to him. He becomes the adopted son. He becomes the king. There's something there and something not there. There's something there that it's God that he's worshiping, and something not there. It's not the manifestation of God he has a specific eternal relationship with. So he's never fully satisfied, but he's also attracted at the same time. And then something happens. And I'm going to go back to what happens and how he goes to Puri. It's very important because it's related specifically to Puri, because the issue that really disturbed him was how they dealt with Mahaprasad. To the extent the commentators say, you don't stay in a place where they don't know how to honor Mahaprasad. So you can get the chair, it's okay. Yeah. So I'll just go back to that for a second. It's kind of interesting. It puts it in context. So he was the king, but the king was under the emperor, and the emperor was under some smarta Brahmins, ritualistic Brahmins, and he couldn't tolerate their lack of faith in Mahaprasad. Because if it was touched by an outsider or carried outside the temple or doubt of its purity, no respectful person would eat them. Just compare that, what's going to happen in Puri. With his verse after verse, it doesn't matter, it's on the floor. In fact, Madhavananda Prabhu just sent me something of a controversy in Puri where the Brahmin priest was serving out the prasadam to people on tables. It was like, there's so much, in other words, there's so much honor for Mahaprasad. They give it to anyone, but you have to honor it. Even in Puri, somehow we get away with it, but, older people sit on chairs, and I put out the mats so people don't sit on the cold floor. But, so purport, Gop certainly should have tolerated any trouble arising from serving the Lord, but the serious obstructions that appeared in Gop Kumar's devotional service provoked him much more than petty complications of royal politics. So he could tolerate, the politics that go on with leadership and that stuff. And the Brahmins were very strict about the food they could accept. They would not accept Lord Vishnu's prasadam if it's touched by anyone other than the appointed servants of the deities or taken outside the sacred area of the temple. And they cited evidence to support their scruples that their predecessors never accepted prasad in any way. But real Brahmins, this is from the purport, and Vaishnavas, however, begun unhappy to see such behavior. For them, it's difficult to live in a place where such disrespect of the Supreme Lord's prasadam is promoted. Disrespect is promoted. And then there's a verse, so twice one should never question whether remnants of food and drink offered to the Lord of the universe are fit or unfit to eat. One should never make such distinctions. The prasad of the Lord is as incorruptible as the Veda mantras and the Lord Vishnu himself. Those who consider whether the Lord's prasad is eatable or uneatable will suffer leprosy. They will lose their children and wives, O Brahmin, and go to hell. In return, Bṛhad Vishnu Purana. So, yeah, the prasad. I'm just reading in the morning the CC for this book I'm writing on Vaishnava behavior, and it talks about this uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami who comes from Bengal named Kalidas, and he's just after the remnants of Vaishnava prasad. And he goes to one Shudra's place, who's a high devotee, and he wants that prasad. He doesn't care what caste or, he has, well, this is even more. It's more than even just respecting the prasad. It's respecting the Vaishnavas and their remnants. But here, no, the Brahmins, no. So this is what his disturbance was. And how he felt it is marma salena, by the dart. It shot into my marma. I felt it, this offense, Nirveda, made me like I want to give up everything else, but he still had attraction to the deity there. To see the leaders of society refusing Vishnu Prasad was more painful to Gop Kumar than the wounds of well-aimed arrows. One who is cut at a major junction of the subtle channels carrying prana feels excruciating pain, but the pain of having to watch and tolerate aparads in the service of Vishnu is more painful for Gop Kumar than such a wound. He lost whatever enthusiasm for continuing his involvement ruling the kingdom, but he could not leave Vishnu. And that's when somehow or other, by this other theme we have of the transcendental system, how everybody's linked by the super soul and God is in the heart, and he can see our heart and send directions to other people, to this Paramatma, to move other people in our directions, to give us sadhu Sanga, this kind of theme that God is always and everywhere. Everything that's happening is for people to come back to God. Everything. And only when you get there will you realize it was worth it. Not when you're going through it. You can, but it's difficult. So this Vaishnav came, and and then he started promoting Puri. And then there's so many purports that you may read on your own about Purushottam Kshetra and how glorious is Puri. Yeah, I'll send out soon the dates for my Puri Yatra. It looks like a few people already contacted me. Jai Subhadra and Lagima are coming to Puri. Someone else mentioned to me, maybe Kishori Radha and Priya. If not Kishori Radha, at least Priya, because she can take a month off. She's not in school anymore. I also think come to Puri. A lady, Melissa, from Colombia and in Bogota, and Harini, you remember her? She had came to see her friend Amala Vaishnav, wonderful. So a few people are kind of thinking, and maybe even indicated Uma Devi from the Shanti people. She's a disciple of mine. Um, um, and it goes on, and it describes it, and how the food is cooked by Lakshmi, and it's distributed, and even the demigods, they don't, this Jagannath Prasad, actually speaking, I don't know where I heard it, but it said in Vrindavan you get love of Godhead by the dust, in Mayapur by the kirtan, and in Puri by the prasad. Eat more prasad. Sleep. It's Dandavat Parikram. It's a incredible place. And the food is called Mahaprasad, be it touched by anyone, brought anywhere, without discriminating. How much different than what you're disturbed here? There, they have so much faith. And it's so great that even the donkeys living there, Gardaba, anyone who enters that will never take birth again. So those of you who want to come to Jagannath Puri, it's great too because it's, I just come from Vrindavan and it's cold, and then Mayapur is cold, and then we come to Puri. And he just said, I've never heard such wonders before. And overcome by a desire, he abandoned everything, chanting Jagannath, Jagannath, Jagannath. He abandoned everything. It's so nice. All these examples, Narada Muni, is the greed that people want to go. Tota's here with me. He's coming in Kartik. Just get away, hop on a plane. Was that one-way price or?
I didn't look back. I thought it was both ways. I thought it was I put in round trip.
Okay, there's some cheap tickets there. He'll stay in the Govardhan Hilton and go around Govardhan every day. What can be better? What can be better? So next verse, tat-kshetram acharat praptas tatratyan dandavanamam antaparam pravishtoham tesham karunaya satam. I quickly reached that holy district of the Lord, bowing down to all the residents. By the mercy of those saintly persons, I was able to enter the temple ground. This time there were pure Vaishnavas, and they welcomed him kindly, and they saw that he come to receive the Lord's mercy. even though he was a foreigner. So you can see it's been, this always happens. Too much attachment to the rules. Rules have a purpose or objective, and they are rules to be followed when they serve that objective, but they may not serve that objective. And I give the classical example that I was in a building in India, and someone said there's a snake in the next room, and they called the chowkidar. And the chowkidar came up, and he took his shoes off to search for the snake. Now, the purpose of not wearing shoes, obviously, is you don't want to bring the dirt in the room. But a higher principle is to not get bit by a snake. And I always saw that. I remember to this day, he took off his shoes and went in the room with a stick to get the snake. Niyama agraha. Niyama agraha. Too much affection. Durad adarshi purushottama vakta chandro Bṛhad-vishala nayano manipunda phala snigdhabhra kantir auḍhra-deśa-diśaṁ shrisha prasada vikasat smita-chandrikāya. From a distance, I saw the moonlight face of Lord Purushottama, his broad eyes shining brilliantly, his forehead decorated with tilak made of gems. His complexion glowed like a cloud full of rain, and the effulgence on his dawn-colored lips was all attractive. Moonbeams of unlimited satisfaction emanated from his smile, adding to his beauty. So he goes, and now he gets darshan. And Jagannath is the deity of Krishna in the full revelation of God's heart, in love at a separation from Srimati Radharani. So moon-like, eyes brilliant, forehead decorated with tilak, gems, complexion glowed like the cloud full of rain, like the moon cloud. And the effulgence of his lips was all attractive. Moonbeams of unlimited satisfaction emanated from his smile. Smita, adding to his beauty. Smita is the smile where the teeth are not shown, but it's the natural smile of someone who has a pure heart and is satisfied, as opposed to hasya, where you're laughing and the teeth are showing. So there are certain people, you can think of one right now, that their face is always blissful. There's something about it. Tatragrato gantumanas chaneshe premnahato vipatubir narudha romanchabino shruvilupta drishti stambam suparna sakata kit apne tatragato gantumanas chaneshe premnahato vipatubir narudha romanchabino shruvilupta drishti stambam suparnasya katachit apta, struck by the ecstasy of pure love. Prema hata, hata, struck, and impeded by trembling in my body. to be. I was unable to go forward despite my desire. Nirudha. I was impeded to go forward, but somehow I reached Garuda's column. My hair standing in end, my vision clouded by tears. So this is Sattvika Bhav. Sattvika Bhav. The emotion is so powerful. It's uncontrollably manifest in your body. Purport: Gop Kumar was eager to enter Lord Jagannath's temple, but had difficulty proceeding because his mind was overwhelmed by love and his body by the ecstasy of jajya, being stunned. When the impression, the udipan, the thing that lights one's bhakti is so powerful, it can dislodge the prana in a way that it contacts the earth element in your body, and you become stunned. You can't move. So unconscious of his own movements, only by the Lord's mercy did Gop Kumar reach the column on which Garuda sits before the Lord's altar. Divyam bara lankaranas, divya bara lankarana shragavali, vyaptam mano lochana harsha vardhanam, simhasanas yoparili layastitam, bhuktva maha bhogaganam manoharan, pranama stuti vajya gita, params tu suprema vilokayantam, mahamahimanam padam ikshamano, patam jagannātham aham vimuha. I saw Lord Jagannath, but now this is called, this element of rasa is called vibhav. Vibhav alambam. The basis of bhav. Vibhav alambam. Alambam means the support of bhav, vishaya, of the object of love. And there's vibhav alamban ashraya, of the subject of love. So these are the things that form the basis of the feelings of devotion to rise. So this is of the object of love. So he saw, and then of course he was having the sattvika bhavs, these ecstatic emotions. So that it's all mixed together. I saw Lord Jagannath bedecked with jewelry, divine garments, and flower garlands. The sight of him increased the pleasure of my eyes and mind. As he sat playfully on his lion throne, he ate the wonderful varieties of attractive food being offered to him. With love, he watched his devotees busily singing, dancing, playing music, offering prayers and bowing down to him. Bewildered by seeing that supremely splendorous pageant, I fainted and fell to the floor. Sattvika bhav. The reaction, he sat. And then he watched the devotees singing, dancing. That's vibhav, alambam, ashraya. The basis of love is the object of love, descriptions of Lord Jagannath, and the subject of love, the devotees who love him. This is all stimulating his Jagannath prem. You see it bedecked with jewelries, divine garments. Wow. And then he sat on his throne, and then he's eating the prasadam offered, and then he sees the devotees singing and dancing and playing music, offering prayers and bowing down to him. Bewildered by seeing that, he fell to the ground. Purport: from his vantage near the Garuda Stamba, Gopkumar could see the details of Lord Jagannath's beauty even more clearly. It proved too much for him to experience all at once. Samgyam labha samunmilya lochane lokayam puna unmatta ivatam dartum savegad davam agrata. I came to my senses, opened my eyes, and gazed upon him. Like a madman, I ran forward quickly to catch hold of him. So he's just looking at him again, an unmata, a madman, and he's trying to catch hold of him. Chirad-didṛkṣito drishto jivatam maya praptodya jagad ishoyam nidya prabhur iti bṛhavam. I cried out, now I am seeing what for so long I wanted to see. From today my life is real life. I obtained the Lord of the universe, my master. Purport: previously Gopkumar had never felt fully alive, but now, after seeing Lord Jagannāth, he considered himself delivered from the living death of material existence. Repeating himself out of sheer joy, he declared that now he had not only seen the Lord of the universe, but come into intimate contact with him. In Lord Jagannath, he perceived for the first time all the characteristics of the Supreme Lord. Save jagatam patihara-bistada nivarito jata vichara lajjita prabho kripam tam anumanya nirgato mahapasadhanam atap navam bahi. At that moment, I was stopped by blows from the stick of the guards. Really realizing what I have done, I felt embarrassed. This is the Lord's mercy, I reasoned, and went outside where I received the remnants of his Mahaprasad. Purport: being struck by the sticks of the doorkeepers brought Gopkumar out of his trance. He thought, here I am, an insignificant foreigner, behaving with such impetus. What am I doing? But despite some physical pain, Gopkumar was not at all unhappy. He was still overjoyed to be in the realm of Lord Jagannath. The Lord was kind enough to arrange for the guards to stop him. Because he embraced Lord Jagannātha as he intended, he would have committed a serious offense. So he was running towards him as to embrace him. Calming himself down, Gopkumar went outside, where compassion in person gave him Mahaprasad. Tad-bhuktvā satvaram brahmam bhagavan mandiram puna parisyāścārya jatam yam maya drishtam mudam padam Ridikartum na shakyate tat-kṣaṇe kriyatam mukhe evam tatra divapurnam stitvanando nabhuyate. O Brahmana, after eating that Mahaprasad, I quickly re-entered the Lord's temple. From the wonders I then saw, I felt a reservoir of happiness I am unable to understand in my heart, let alone describe with my mouth. I simply stood there all day relishing bliss. So somehow he's come to the platform of rati or rasa or bhava or rati or prema, and he's just relishing it, because that type of happiness is not dependent on the external world. So therefore, inside, he's flourishing, and he's not bored because he's completely ecstatic, and so many emotions are coming from his heart. And it lasted, and he stood there all day, just entire day, standing, anandam, anubhuyate, he was experiencing anandam. Purport, Gopakumar's heart could not assimilate everything he was relishing, one amazing thing after another without stop, and each wonder inconceivable. How then could he properly describe what he saw? The power of speech is usually slower and more limited than the power of the mind. Ratra Mahotsave Vritti Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Nirgam Yate Nirvate Pushpanjali Mahotsave. At night there was a great festival with the Lord dressed and ornamented in elaborate splendor. But finally, after a great ceremony with offerings of palmfuls of flowers, it was time to leave the temple. Netam gyata satam sange kalo nava navotsavai tadaisva vasya rajabhuva shokome niragadiva. I thus enjoyed ever new festivals in the company of saintly devotees. Time passed unnoticed. I seemed to forget the sorrow of my separation from the land of Vraja. Purport, the pain Gopkumar had been feeling from being outside of Vraja subsided in the presence of Lord Jagannātha, but it was never uprooted completely from his heart. Now, next class, I'll begin from 177. We covered about 10 verses from where we were even last Sunday. But everywhere I heard about and saw for myself the most exalted mercy of Lord Jagannātha. And then we'll read about 10 verses ahead. On his servant, his exalted mercy on his servants, and proceed the various commands he gave. Nothing other than sight of Lord Jagannātha attracted me. I even lost interest in hearing about his glories from the Puranas. And even if I sometimes underwent some physical or mental distress, as soon as I saw the lotus-eyed Lord, the pain disappeared. Thus, thinking I had attained the final result of my chanting, I became indifferent even to chanting. For many days I lived in the city of Lord Jagannātha in perfect happiness. Then I began to feel the urge for more intimate service to the Lord. But the desires also brought me great pain because it remained unfulfilled. I think that's a good place to stop for today. I'm not sure. I think Jamuna Jaya may be someplace today. Let's see. Gail, any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah. Yeah, I have, to be honest, every
What's
class.
Dota? My hearing aids are in the next room. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. Every class don't know, but this storyline
Yeah.
with Gopakumar and the Brahmin, I don't know, every class I get confused because at one point it seems like it's Gopakumar who's instructing the Brahmin, and another class it seems like it's the Brahmin that's instructing Gopakumar, and in this class it seemed like it went both ways. So
No, it's Gopakumar telling his own story now. I'm trying.
because I mean they're both Brahmins, right? Gopakumar is a Brahmin, and
No, Gopakumar is a cowherd boy. No, what you're confusing, Gail,
mm,
is that Gopakumar's guru was a Brahmin,
okay,
and he's explaining his own elevation to that other Brahmin who got the mantra from Devi.
okay. See, I'm already confused.
Gail, you only want to hear Ras Guitar about Radha and Krishna. That's what's happening.
I mean, I admit, I do have a big problem. I'm very challenged in following stories, and then because there's,
Okay,
there's always a lot of
let me
pronouns.
explain this story, Gail. Okay,
Yeah.
simply. Maharaj Bṛhad is answering Uttara's question, where is the place of this love that I heard that when Narada Muni was seeking the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy,
Mm-hmm.
and then it final description was of the gopis.
Mm-hmm.
He says, now where is this love?
Yes.
And then Maharaj Bṛhad said, well, okay, the best way for me to do this is tell you a story. And he tells the story of this Brahmin who is from Mathura originally, but left. And this Brahmin somehow is worshiping a deity of Kamaksha, of Devi. And that Devi deity appeared to him in a dream and gave him this Gopal mantra. And this Gopal mantra gave him great inspiration. And he began to kind of search where is the place that I should be, to suit my devotion. And somehow or other, in his journey, he's ultimately directed to go to Vrindavan. And when he's in Vrindavan, he hears this crying in the woods near Keshi-Ghat, and he meets this Gopakumar. Now, this Gopakumar somehow has this power, which we'll find out later, but somehow he's sent by Radharani, he's sent by Krishna to help this Brahmin.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the Brahmin's story. This is what happened to you. You got this mantra and it's carried you all the way here.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't really found the complete fulfillment of this mantra. And I shouldn't tell you about myself, but I'm going to tell you about myself. I'm going to tell you about myself because you can talk about yourself if your story helps others.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells the story how he was a cowherd boy and somehow he meets this other Brahmin,
Mm-hmm.
this very elevated Brahmin who shows him mercy and gives him a Gopal mantra. And now he's telling the story how this Gopal mantra
Mm-hmm.
is his life, but he keeps on searching for his place where he's searching for the Lord of this mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And this has carried him to the bank of the Ganga where he sees someone worshiping a Shalagram Shila. He's not satisfied there because the person's not worshiping with great opulence and he thinks that's not it is, but where is the love? And he's not feeding him. And then that carries him to this kingdom where he becomes the adopted son of the king.
Gopakumar does.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Gopkumar becomes the adopted son of the king.
Mm-hmm.
And as he becomes the adopted son of the king, then he's worshiping and it's very attractive, but he's not completely fulfilled. And then he sees on the order of the emperor and the Brahmins that rule the area how they're disrespecting Mahaprasad, and it's like a dart in his heart. And then this group of Brahmins come and start telling him about Jagannath Puri. And here we are in Jagannath Puri, Gopkumar. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
You got it now, Gail?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, Gail, it's very difficult in the Bhagavatam because what I'm telling is a story within a story within a story,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's Maharaj Uttara. It's Sanatana Goswami. It's Sanatana Goswami narrating the story of Jaimini Rishi to Janamejaya, who's narrating the story of Maharaj Parikshit to Uttara, who's narrating the story of the second part now, the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, of the Brahmin who's getting enlightened by Gopkumar, who's telling his story.
Yeah, it was because, like you said, you understood where I became confused. It was because, Gopkumar got his mantra from a Brahmin, and so I got the two Brahmins.
Right. No, I like it. I like to make things clear and discuss these things, but it's quite a story. But Gail, how'd you like that nectar flowing on Sunday, huh?
It was very impressive how he was just like you said, flowing. He was just like, channeling nonstop, with such enthusiasm.
and descriptions of the moods of Radha and Krishna, just from the verses of Rupa Goswami.
Yeah, honestly, like I told you that day, the thing that really hit me was his description of Rupa Goswami's poetry with its with this reverberatory meanings,
Right.
like that. I thought that was like,
And I liked
amazing.
at the end when you had a talk with him about only when you sit up front you get the full meaning because you can see the person's eyes.
There's just no other way.
And then you dissed everyone sitting in the back.
I, I wanted to take my words back as I said it, but it was too late. It was too late.
Gail, it's all like he said in Love Talk, insults express more affection. So I think you got that part of the thing. I'm fully awake, but actually, honestly speaking, when I'm at programs, I'm listening to how people are listening.
Me too. I do that exactly like
Yeah,
that.
not me, because I'm the supreme controller of the whole event. So I'm looking at how every single person, and I was wondering, it was nectar, but it was a tapasya because people had to sit for 2.5 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and people are not yogis. You know what I'm saying? So I was wondering, is this going to work? Will they make it through?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, I just thought that our Metro Matra Sanga just did such an incredible job that he was impressed. Even when we were taking prasadam, he said, "Who's cooking? This prasadam is so nicely cooked." And his assistants told Sri Rupa that this is a well-oiled machine. I don't
Mm.
think many people could, do the function like we do because it's community. A lot of temples, you bring all kinds of people together and they're trying to find people to help and there's conflicts. And but it was like a team. Everybody was dedicated to their service. And it was so interesting that he was enjoying so much that he was just staying around talking to the different people. I'll make a joke until Sri Rupa kicked him out. No, I'm joking. I told her it was just a nice announcement. She said, "People have to move. We had to get out of there." Sri Rupa, I'm just joking. We cleaned the temple, but it was so nice that he just kept on wanting to stay and talking to people. So it's good. But next year I have it in New Jersey because it's all the people from Jersey anyway, and no one from New York comes. So it'll be easier for us to do it at Jai Shri Radhe's house, I think. Yeah. Okay, Gail.
Maharaj, Jagannath Puri Prasadam being served on the table. I didn't get it.
Jagannath Puri, you have to sit on the floor to honor it properly.
Oh.
You're supposed to be so humbled before Jagannath Prasad that you have to sit on the floor, not even on any mat. And usually, the whole year it's hot in Puri, so even in the middle of the winter, it's not really cold. But I have these mats that come up, people are old, they sit on tables. But Madhavananda sent me when there were Brahmin priests from the temple, and they were serving out their prasadam, and they had like a restaurant with tables, and people freaked out because if they freaked out, how can you? So I asked Madhavananda, what do you think about we do? He said, no one really cares that way, But it's so revered, Jagannath Prasad. Okay.
Yeah, and we said kirtan was the way to get love of Godhead in Mayapur, right?
Mayapur, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay. Okay, anybody else want to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much.
Always
I'm
nice
very glad to hear from you, to hear you. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in Moscow. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Lal Govinda.
And Bṛhad, thank you for class.
Thank you for class.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Me and Bṛhad, we were just focused on every syllable. We could have went on for like 3, 4, 5 hours. No problem.
It was good that it was a tapasya, but it was really great. It really was. It was good.
And I
Yeah.
was sitting there saying, is Braja Sundari Radha gonna make it? I
retained everything. Every word.
I gave her such a name. She better live up to this name here.
Oh God, so embarrassing. I hope I live up to it one day.
Okay.
Haribo.
We're full for that Super Soul retreat now. We're trying to find for everyone now.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Nice.
All beds in that house and all the other rooms. And Champak and Damodar Vinod, they'll stay with his parents' house and come for the programs, and a few people at Jai Balai.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we'll have a nice program. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello? Nice to see you guys. And
Thank you.
Hey, Lal.
Yes.
Me, you, and Tota, we'll have our own little festival on Memorial Day on Sunday.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Maybe we'll even do a little katha together too. But the
Great,
main thing, it's the Maharaj Mahotsa Shaver Festival. I'm specifically not shaving now, so I get the joy of a professional. I want those eyebrows done properly. And then what we'll do, Tota says there's a temple near here, right? There's a temple near here that has South Indian prasad, and we'll go see all their deities too.
Oh, great.
We'll make a
Nice.
little
Yeah.
festival while Bṛhad is enjoying in her own.
Maybe I'll come home early.
Maybe. Okay. Anybody else say
Very
hello?
well.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This
Narayani,
is Narayani calling
always,
from Switzerland.
always a
Haribo.
pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you for your class and thank you for having me. You know what's interesting that I've heard that if you're long enough on this path, there's like no coincidences. So there's a reading group. I used to attend a lot in the mornings, and then I didn't for a while. But today I made it, and today we read in CC Antya about that Brahmin or that person you mentioned in the beginning who was always eating
The remnant.
Mahaprasadam,
Wow.
the remnants. And then I didn't know that. I learned that the remnants of Krishna are Mahaprasadam, and the remnants of exalted devotees then are Mahaprasadam.
Yeah.
I read there. Interesting.
No.
But I thought that's no coincidence that I hear about it in the morning and now it's already afternoon and I hear about it from you again. Wonderful.
Right, so now you have to go around and find in Switzerland some Vaishnavas' houses and knock and give them some mangoes. And when they throw out the pits, you have to go and eat them. And
lick the banana leaves.
What?
He also licked the banana leaves
Licks
where
the
the
banana
pits
leaves.
were like packed and.
But I once wrote an article in my Monday morning greetings, an argument for the existence of God called synchronicity. When two events come together beyond the law, beyond the law of probability, beyond probability, beyond the law of probability, they come together. And I was just thinking of that this morning. I had this thing that I went through, and only God could have arranged it for the purpose that came out. And it's like that. It's really what gives us faith. Yes. Okay, Narayani.
I'm going to email you anyway because I might be interested in coming to Puri as well if the timing fits. So since you mentioned that as well,
We would love.
I'm going to email. It's been too long.
You have this mystic potency to work in the world and go to any festival you want. I don't know how you do it, but I pray.
Not everything, but a few I can make.
It would be great. You come with anybody or just yourself?
Well, I was talking with Radha Preeti about it, but I'm not sure how she and baby Prema would be
Radha
possible.
Preeti is capable of doing anything.
I know, right? So expect an email from me. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Great to have you. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for a very nice class this morning.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to have you on our Sanga and nice to kind of meet you.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thanks. Okay, where are you from again?
Oh, I live in Florida, South Florida.
Where in South Florida?
On an island called Pine Island. It's like 4 hours south of Gainesville.
How far close is it to Boca Raton?
So Boca Raton is on the other coast because I live on the southwest coast. So driving to Boca Raton, I think it's like maybe 2.5 hours.
Okay, because
Not that far.
Sometimes I do programs at Boca Raton.
Oh, I would love to see you when you come down sometime.
Okay, I'll tell you next time. Okay,
Thank you,
anybody
Maharaj.
else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Sivat, thank you for class.
Yvette, all pervading many manifestations. Great. You enjoyed it. Thank you for coming to the program. I know
it was great. Thank you so much for
fun.
having it.
Yeah, great. Okay, anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hemalata Radha. Thank you so much for class, Maharaj.
Maybe right after this, you can send me a Zoom or something and we'll talk?
Yes, definitely. That'd be great, Maharaj.
Okay, I'm going to go now. Thank you.
Thank you.